What's up, everyone? My name is Isaiah Newsom, and this is the ZayNews Podcast, where we talk about all things basketball, whether it's the NBA, college hoops, March Madness is upon us. We're going to be talking about some college hoops here shortly, or youth basketball. You name it. If it's about hoops, then we talk about it. So if you like the content, make sure to engage, like it, share it, leave a comment, right? Ask questions. I really want to interact and engage with the community that we're trying to build here. So make sure that you leave comments and ask questions, or just tell me I'm wrong. I'm wrong if you don't like the opinion that I have, right? All comments are good comments, right? I want to interact and I want to engage with you guys. So without further to do, let's get into episode 9 and look no further than in the NBA. I know we've been talking about a lot of NBA, but there's been a little bit of drama happening over the past week, and that is the whole incident that happened last Sunday, I believe, Saturday, when the Lakers in Boston played and LeBron confronted Stephen A. Smith, right? That's been a hot topic this week. A lot of different opinions, and I just wanted to share mine, right? I wanted to kind of give my opinion on what I felt happened. Does it matter as much as we have been talking about it? Probably not, but we love drama as people, so let's see. So to be honest with you guys, I had absolutely zero problems with that incident between LeBron James and Stephen A. But if you didn't see it, let's kind of take it back a second and just kind of set it up for you guys. So last Saturday, when the Lakers in Boston played primetime TV, the highest watched and viewed game, I think they said in the past 5 years. So all eyes on the NBA. I'm sure the Luka trade had a lot to do with that. I'm sure just the Lakers and Boston historical rivalry had a lot to do with that. How well the Lakers are playing going into that game, how well Boston has played the past 2 seasons, right? It's a competitive game, and it ended up being a competitive game. Boston had control for the most part. Obviously, LeBron went out in the fourth quarter, didn't come back. The Lakers made a run, made it an interesting game, made it a competitive game, but with shoot, AR was out that game, I think. LeBron obviously didn't finish that game. Right, we just had a lot of missing bodies, right, to say the least. So the fact that the Lakers did put up such a fight was impressive. But at the end of the day, Boston got it done, and they ended up winning that game. But to get back to it, in the third quarter, during a timeout, it was either in the third quarter or in between the third and fourth quarter. LeBron left a timeout and he went to go speak with or confront Stephen A. Smith about some of the stuff that he's been saying about both LeBron and LeBron's son. And pretty much, there's been people and videos out kind of deciphering what they're saying. LeBron just said, leave Bronny out of it. But I think more than that, he was pretty heated. What he was trying to say is stop trying to make these things personal, right? And you can say what you want to say. Stephen A. does do things for clicks, right? Whether you thought LeBron should have addressed it, should have just let it go. His son's in the NBA now. He has to, handle himself. Whatever your thought process may be on the matter, you can't deny that if someone is going to make a personal statement about you, then you should have every right to respond to that in the manner that you deem fit, right? And whether that's the way LeBron did it, which I thought was fair. He waited till he saw them in person. He wanted all the smoke, right? And he addressed it as such, right? I personally don't see any problems with it. But I guess to each their own. I've been seeing a lot of discussion on the fact that LeBron should have just let it go and that he was in the wrong and that he's the one who's put the target on his son's back. Now, to me personally, there's nothing wrong with being a proud dad and speaking life into your kid, right? And that's all I've seen LeBron do for Bronny. I've heard a lot of people hang on to this idea that last year, I think it was, he had said that LeBron had said Bronny was better than players in the NBA right now. Now, I think that was before the open heart surgery. I think that was before that whole stint prior to USC where he struggled to get back in the flow of things, and people really hung on to his lack of production during that time as a reason to kind of poke fun at LeBron, and they just allowed it to fuel their hate essentially. But for me, I just can't disagree with that more, right? For one, I love the idea of a dad speaking life into his kid, having confidence in his son. And if you feel like LeBron put a target on his back, clearly Bronny has done an excellent job of handling that target because he's taken all the criticism with a grain of salt, hasn't allowed it to affect his growth and his play on the court at all this season. And all you've seen since he stepped in the NBA is an upward trajectory, right? Which a lot of the fans of Bronny and the people who are trying to say give this kid some time because he has a ton of potential and we think he's going to be a good pro. That's all that we've been reiterating, and he's shown that, whether it's in the G League where he's playing his butt off, averaging over 20 points a game, being a dynamic athlete, growing into being a shooter, right, where he can shoot the long ball a little bit. Definitely still has some work to do. I don't think that was ever in doubt, but the idea that this kid wasn't going to be an NBA level talent, or wasn't an NBA level talent, was just completely wrong, right, and just completely ridiculous, as we're seeing now. Eventually, this kid will get on the NBA court. I have little doubts about that, and I think he'll be an NBA player for a while if he continues to work the way he does. So all that to say, man, if you are going to teeter on the line, getting back to Stephen A. Smith, if you are going to teeter on the line of making things personal, which as soon as you say, LeBron, I'm pleading to you as a father, that crosses that line of being personal. Then I have no problem with how LeBron chooses to address that. If Stephen A. Smith would have just said, I don't think Bronny's ready. He needs to stay in the G League. They don't need to put him on an NBA court because I feel like it's only going to reduce his confidence. It's only going to lead to him uh, potentially having a worse growth and development over time, because right when you see things too fast sometimes, right, it can discourage you, whatever the case may be. If it was that is totally different than saying, LeBron, I'm pleading to you as a father, please don't allow your son to play anymore. Whatever he said, that bullshit that he said, just completely ridiculous. And again, as soon as you cross that line, I have no problem with how a man chooses to confront you man to man. Obviously within reason, right? We're not talking about going to blows and all this sort of stuff, and assault and this sort of thing. But all LeBron did was walked up to him, spoke to him as an adult. Um, and it's funny because Stephen A's whole platform and his whole thing when he gets pushback on his opinions has been, you know where to find me. Come on the show, talk to me in person, give me a call. We don't have to be on air, but let me know, and we could talk this out face to face. And as soon as he got off the ESPN airways and didn't have to be as professional, I guess is a good way to put it, he essentially walk that back quite a bit, because to me as a man, I have no, like, what did LeBron do wrong, right? Outside, maybe he could have waited till after the game, but that's more a him thing than a Stephen A thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't got nothing to do with Stephen A. If LeBron wanted to take a second out of his work to go confront you, and he's okay with doing that, and he can compartmentalize enough to jump in between being a dad, being on the basketball court, and doing that, okay, then whatever. You know what I'm saying? But to be honest with you, I have no problems with it. I think he confronted him the way many dads would, and I think it's totally justified. I don't think it was weak. Stephen A said he thought it was weak. I don't think it was weak at all. I think what I've seen lately, as Stephen A has seemingly been at the end of more bad takes, let's just say that, right, in the past, let's say, couple of years, um, it seems like he struggles to take accountability a little bit. And I don't know if it's because he just doesn't see himself as wrong, or if it's an accountability thing, but it's one of the two. Either he's not able to um, observe like what has continued to happen to him historically, and change, and just understand where he may be overstepping or saying things that just don't need to be said. But whatever the case may be, it's one of those two things. He either lacks the ability to take accountability, or he's just has a little bit of narcissism in him, and he has a tough time seeing when he's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because I think in this instance, and overstepping that line when he said that was wrong. And I think LeBron addressing that is whatever, right? It's just a dad being a dad, a man being a man at the end of the day. And I'm cool with it, to be honest with you. So that's my thoughts on that whole thing. Um, I will say, just to kind of piggyback off of that and moving forward, Stephen A, I think it had came out after that, a few days after that, and was like, Draymond Green's not speaking to me. There's a few other players who don't necessarily want to speak to me because of the comments that I made in that regard. Um, and he may not care, right? He's making so much money. He just signed a new contract, whatever. He's locked in. But eventually, that well is going to run dry, right? It may not happen tomorrow. It may not happen next year. It may not happen the year after that. But eventually, that well is going to run dry. And for him, it could be in the form of relationships, right? You start burning all these bridges in the NBA. You start getting more and more players who don't want to talk to you, don't want to have relationships with you, what have you. And now all your points are speculation. All the things you're talking about, you really are just saying what you think with no basis in reality, no basis in truth, because you don't have these relationships to call players up, call agents up, call these guys up and be like, hey, yo, what happened here? I got the 411, which he has had the luxury of doing for a lot of his career. And that's probably part of the reason why he's had so much success, right? Relationships. But it seems to me in recent years, I don't think he's necessarily burning bridges, but like he's just having a lot of bad takes, right? A lot of bad takes that affect a lot of people. You can go back to the Kyrie Irving stuff, the Kawhi Leonard stuff, you name it, right? When you start having these harsh takes on guys um, who, for lack of a better term, like they give their all to the game, right? Like Kyrie is always giving his all to the game. Kawhi Leonard always giving his all to the game. And you minimize what they're going through for clicks, and you try to come at it from a different angle, or what have you. You lose trust in these players. These guys no longer want to speak to you, and that's a trickle down effect because everybody knows everybody. It seems like in that industry, and before you know it, you know you just stop having the opportunities that you're having. So I don't wish that on anybody. I just think it's something to be considerate of. He's obviously their biggest star. That doesn't mean that when I say that he's like ESPN's biggest basketball speaking head, but that doesn't mean he's immune to that well running dry. So that's just something to consider. I think Stephen A is has been historically a net positive for the game for the most part, but in recent years, I definitely think that he has, I don't want to say more bad takes than good, but like it's been a lot of bad. You know what I'm saying? There's been a lot of bad takes, and there's been a lot of takes where he just kind of dug himself deeper into these ideals as opposed to just reflecting, like being able to reflect and see other perspectives in order to maybe not change your opinion, but see other opinions and be more mindful of other opinions, right? It just seems like he has lacked that. And maybe his goal is to get out of basketball and go into politics, because it seems like he's more interested in talking about that stuff lately anyways. Who knows? But where his bread has been buttered in the basketball side of things, I would be cautious, man, and really start to be more mindful of the things you say, because when you start to cross that line and start to talk about things that aren't basketball, which it seems that he's just doing more and more, um, especially when you're doing it with ill intent. And I think when you're doing things for clicks, it can be perceived as ill intent. Um, it's dicey. It's a dicey game you're playing, man. But anyways, let's move on, man. I don't want to spend too much time on the negativity. Definitely want to talk about some positive stuff, and that is Cade Cunningham and the Detroit Pistons. Definitely wanted to give them some love today because I was looking at their record from last season. And I saw that, and they won 14 games last season. And this season, I was doing the math. I mean, I think a modest estimate from where they're going to end up with about, 16 to 18 games left. I can't remember what number it is. They're going to win over 45 games this season, right? They're at 37 or 39 wins right now. They're going to get 10 more wins. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that they are tripling their wins in one season, Cade Cunningham playing the best basketball of his career, I mean, man, you just got to tip your hats to those guys, and that's a team that hasn't been talked about enough, right? You saw Shaq on um, TNT the other night. I think it was TNT on Tuesday. Didn't even know who the coach was. He thought Chauncey Billups was the coach over there. Um, just like just not getting the respect that they deserve, and they've been playing really good basketball, and they've turned their team around in a season, which is very hard to do, man. It's hard to change the culture, but Dallas's front office, they made moves. They brought in some vet guys and have had a really good that have had a really good impact on the team this season. But also, Cade Cunningham has just flourished, man. And I wanted to talk about this because I really wanted to pose this question: has there been a player to mean more to their team this season than Cade Cunningham? Has there been a more valuable player for their team than Cade Cunningham this season? And I really have to stop and think about that because I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And this is me talking about Joker. This is me talking about Giannis. This is me talking about Shea. You go down the list: Tatum, LeBron, right? Because LeBron has been extremely valuable to the Lakers this season. Who else? Steph. I mean, who else is there, right? Like, I don't know if any of those guys can say that they've had the same impact that Cade Cunningham has had, right? And you can see it. 14 games to what's going to be like 46 games in one season, averaging 26, 6, and 9, true shooting at almost 60%. Like, if they had a better record, if they were like a legitimate top 3 seed, which who knows in the next 2 seasons, he would quite possibly be my leading MVP vote getter. Because if we're talking about straight value, I can't say that Joker has been more valuable to Denver this season as Cade Cunningham has been to Detroit this season. And that's not me. That's not me at all saying that Joker is not a better player and not a better player by a significant margin, because he is. You know what I'm saying? But like, Denver's been there, right? They're an established team. They're an established group. They have a good core, good nucleus, and they work well together, right? So there's a little bit of clockwork there, right? There's a little bit of clockwork there. There's that chemistry there. There's that familiarity. So they didn't have as big of a stride to go, right? So as good as Joker is playing, and he's, again, the best player in the NBA, did his growth this season and the way he's playing this season mean as much to his team as what Cade Cunningham's growth meant to Detroit? I think the stats agree with me that they don't, right? Because 14 games to 45 games, as opposed to a team that's probably going to win, like maybe 3 less games this season than they did last season. Even though Joker's putting up ridiculous numbers, what have you, but like, whose production meant more this season? It's clear. It's clear. It's just a roundabout way of me saying, like, it's clear. Like, I don't think there's a player in the NBA who has meant more to their team this season than Cade Cunningham. Now, again, I've had this argument in past weeks recently that winning has to start mattering in the MVP debate. So I'm not even going to argue that like he should be the MVP or stretch it that far, because that's a pretty big stretch, right? They're still the 6th seed. They're still going to end top, maybe like at the best they're probably going to be the 5th seed, but they're right there in that 5-6 range. And their win percentage isn't that good, right? Like 45 wins is good, especially it's great in comparison to where you come from, but it's not great in comparison to the rest of the NBA, right? You're going to have 2 teams in the NBA this season with 65 plus wins. You're going to have 6, 7 other teams with 50 plus wins, right? Like, there's a lot of good teams this season and a lot of players being productive. And again, winning has to start to matter in the MVP debate. So I'm not going to just poo-poo that idea that I've been talking about for the past couple months just because I'm on this Cade Cunningham high, because his production has just been so dope. But I think you just got to tip your hat to this kid, right? Like, and this team, because they've made so many strides. Honestly, like, in terms of potential, like his potential ceiling being like a 6'7" point guard, knowing how to use his frame, getting downhill, playing at his own pace. Like, the sky's the limit for this dude. I do think based on what we're seeing this year, that he is a future MVP, right? Unequivocally, I think he is a future MVP caliber player because he's playing at an MVP level this season already. You know what I'm saying? But it's just about growing this into more wins, right? More consistency, more of an elite team, both on the offense and defensive end of the floor. Now you're finishing top 3 seed in the NBA. You're a legitimate title contender, right? That's when the MVP start to come. But again, I just want to rehash this argument that I don't think off the top of my head there has been a player more valuable and impactful to their team this season than Cade Cunningham, and that includes Nikola Jokic. You guys tell me I'm wrong. I know people are going to hear this and they're going to be like, "Oh, Joker is the greatest thing since sliced bread." He, like they normally do. And I love Joker, man. He's so fun to watch. He picked apart the best team in the NBA, or one of the best teams in the NBA the other day in the OKC Thunder. Just was getting whatever he wants. And when I watched the Joker, just a side point, I love he has some of the best touch I've ever seen in the NBA. I'm not sure there's a player who has a better touch than he has had, right? Like every floater, every hook shot, every layup is just doesn't touch the rim, it seems like. So Joker is incredible, man. All the things he brings to the game. And again, I'm not saying that by any means Cade Cunningham is in his caliber of player, but what he is meant to his team this season, I think it's hard to debate. I think it's hard to debate who has meant the most. So I think that's something to be considered. I think he should most definitely make a All NBA team. Probably not first team All team NBA, right? I don't know if they've won enough, but honestly, I wouldn't be mad at a first team All NBA. Let's go down the list. I mean, let's think about it because I might be wrong, but you got Shea, you got JT. You got, honestly, LeBron could be first team this season. So you got Shea, JT. Let's go the sure ones. You got Shea, JT, Giannis, Joker. That's 4. Honestly, it could be like a drop in the bucket who that 5th one is, but it could be Cade. It could be LeBron. Honestly, I think those two probably deserve it more than Steph does this season. What am I saying? The fifth spot has to go to Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, the 5th spot has to go to Donovan Mitchell. Thinking about that I mean, they're going to have the best record in the NBA by the end of the season, most likely. They need a first team All NBA player on their team. Donovan Mitchell has the production. He's been playing amazing basketball. He's averaging 24, 25. An elite scorer, right? Elite playmaker, right? He's really transforming himself into elite level playmaker. Donovan Mitchell is first team All NBA. Second team All NBA, these guys that I'm talking about, LeBron, Cade, you name it. Steph might make second. He probably deserves third because then you got guys like Jalen Brunson who deserves it over him. Karl Anthony Towns probably deserves to be second team. But again, I think Cade Cunningham solidified himself as like a second team All NBA performer for sure. Absolutely. Love it, man. Dude is producing at a high level, and I think he's shaping up to be like a top 5, top 7 player in the NBA here soon. Excuse me. He's not there yet, right? There's still players better than him, right? Like let's go down the list. Again, him versus Brunson is close. But I would still say, okay, let's go. I would still say, obviously, let's get the obvious ones out the way. Joker, Giannis, Shea, Tatum. I think LeBron is probably still better than him. Luka's still better than him, even though Luka's been injured, but healthy Luka is most definitely better than him. Those are the definites. And then you start getting into guys like Jalen Brunson, who it's close. I would take Jalen Brunson down the stretch for sure, right? So if you're talking about ability to finish games, and people usually weigh that pretty high, Jalen Brunson still has the edge on him. Unfortunately, Dame is one of my favorite players. I'd probably say he's better than Dame right now. Steph depends on the night. Like some of these guys, right? Like it depends on the night, but over an 82 game season, he might be better than Steph right now too. So I mean, he's up there, right? He might be top 10 right now, right? And if not top 10, right on the precipice. You know what I'm saying? Right there on the outside looking in, and he's ready to break that door down for sure. So fun times in the NBA, man. A lot of growth happening. A lot of great players coming through that funnel and starting to really show themselves. And it's just exciting to see, man. But you got to tip your hat to him and the work that he's done, the work that Detroit has done. Um, it's definitely been a group effort, right? You don't want to take anything from these guys, but how much he has meant to Detroit has been huge, and you got to tip your hat. So fun times. But that's everything from me, man. I guess we could talk really quickly about just March Madness. We'll know. I'm definitely going to start talking more about March Madness coming up. Um, they're going to start, having the brackets coming out and all the teams, um, rankings and stuff like that being listed. I think Selection Sunday is this coming Sunday. So once that comes out, I'll definitely drop a video, my thoughts on college basketball. To be honest with you, my brother, he coaches at Colgate University, small Division I school, definitely a small school, but they've been really effective in their conference. So most of the college basketball I've watched has been in like the Patriot League, which is a low not a low level, but like a small school just in Division I basketball, right? Or a small conference in Division I basketball. So been watching a lot of small conference basketball, but it's been fun to watch. The reason I bring that up is because they've been the past 5-6 years really dominant in that conference, but for the first time this season they're actually not going to the big dance, the first time in a while. So there'll be some new teams in there. Got to brush up on my college basketball knowledge. I follow, but not as much as I follow the NBA. But honestly, it's looking like you never know in the tournament, right? Because it's just one game, one bad game, and that's it. But I think Duke's going to be around towards the end. You got teams like Auburn, Houston, who have been good the past couple of years, going to be around at the end of the season. So those teams have been fun to watch. I've watched a little bit of all of them. They're definitely going to be fun to watch. So we'll talk more about that in the coming days, and see what happens, man. An exciting time. March is an exciting time in basketball. The NBA season winding down, the regular season winding down in preparation for the playoffs. March Madness, is where college basketball comes to a close. You always love to see it. So this is a basketball fanatic's dream time of year. And then after this, it's quiet for us. So exciting stuff. But as always, guys, if you like the video, if you like the content, make sure you drop a like, make sure you interact with the video, leave a comment, share it with your friends. Let me know if you just disagree with what I'm saying and tell me that I'm tripping. Tell me that Joker is unequivocally more important to his team than Cade Cunningham has been. I think you're wrong, but if you think I'm wrong, let me know. Let me hear it. So wish you guys the best, and we'll be talking soon. Peace.